The burial of the important dead as if they still lived is common to almost all these ancient cultures whose architecture we have just looked at. This practice has no clear explanation except that their voices were still being heard by the living and were perhaps demanding such accommodation. These dead kings propped up on stones whose voices were hallucinated by the living were the first gods. Okay? Does that make sense to you? We lived in a world where we're using both our left and right hemispheres, and as such, we saw spirits, deities, gods all around us. Okay? And we interacted with them, and they gave us both inspiration as well as motivation. Okay? And so this is a Viking ship burial where a king is being buried with his ship and his horses, as though he was still alive. Okay? Because from their perspective, he's still alive. He's still able to give us his wisdom. This is the cult of the skull, which is what we found in most Neolithic cultures, okay? The earliest agricultural societies. Why? Because they practiced ancestral worship and they believed that these skulls were living and they could help you access the dead in the spirit world and draw wisdom and inspiration from them. This is a book, The Cosmic Serpent by Jeremy Narby, okay? And he tells us that, listen, if you just do some basic research, this understanding of the universe, where our right brain receives spirits and left brain interprets it in reality, it makes a lot of sense, okay? Because the entire universe is itself consciousness, okay? It's all mind, and matter is just what we perceive. I began my investigation with the enigma of plant communication. Okay, plants are able to communicate with each other. We know that scientifically. I went to accept the idea that hallucinations could be a source of verifiable information. Okay, so if you feel as though a spirit is talking to you, maybe the spirit really is talking to you. And I end up with a hypothesis suggesting that a human mind can communicate and defocalize consciousness with a global network of DNA-based life. All this contradicts principles of Western knowledge. Okay? So the entire universe is consciousness. Plants have it, animals have it, we have it, and therefore, if we open our minds, we're able to communicate with the entire universe and draw insight. All right, and he goes on. Scientists know this, and our greatest discoveries came from scientists who embraced the consciousness of the universe. Many of science's central ideas seem to come from beyond the limits of rationalism. René Descartes dreams of an angel who explains the basic principles of materialistic rationalism to him. Albert Einstein daydreams in a tram approaching another and conceives the theory of relativity. James Watson scribbles on a newspaper in a train, then rides his bicycle to reach the conviction that DNA has the form of a double helix. Okay? So it's almost as though a spirit is telling the secrets of the universe to the scientists. So, and just ask yourself these questions, and you will understand that maybe the universe is consciousness, right? So these questions are, sometimes you think of someone and then, boom, that person calls you. Isn't that strange? Okay, has that ever happened to you? Do you feel as though you're being watched all the time? Do you feel as though you're an actor on a stage? Do you sometimes feel you're compelled to act as though something has taken control of your body? Okay, possession. Why do certain ideas pop in your head all of a sudden? Do you sometimes feel as though something planted an idea into you? What do you have dreams? Where do dreams come from? What do dreams mean? Do you sometimes feel as though you know what someone else is thinking, okay? Is it possible you're sitting with a friend and you know exactly what your friend is thinking, even though you're not talking? Do you think sometimes that you're having a conversation with a friend inside your head, okay? So your friend is not there, but you're having a conversation with your friend. Do you feel as though you have a guardian angel? Okay, I'm sure you're too shy to say this, but I'm sure that you feel as though there is a spirit world, right? Okay, these were not mysteries and questions before because everyone assumed we lived alongside spirits, angels, and demons, okay? Today we ask these questions. Before they didn't ask these questions because everyone just assumed that, yeah, of course, we live alongside angels and demons, and that's why we are who we are. Okay, so let's go to the Iliad, okay? And the Iliad it shows us how the brain worked at that time. A brain that was both materialistic and spiritual. A brain that understood that we lived in different dimensions, okay? And the gods had more control over us, and the gods represented our emotions and the workings of nature, okay? The Iliad. This is a translation by Robert Fagles. So at the very beginning of the Iliad, okay, Homer says this: "Rage, goddess, sing the rage of Peleus' son Achilles, murderers, doomed that caused Achaeans countless losses, hurling down to the house of death so many sturdy souls, great fighters' souls, but made their bodies carrion, feast for the dogs and birds, and the will of Zeus was moving toward its end. Begin, muse, when the two first broke in clash, Agamemnon, lord of men, and brilliant Achilles." Okay? So the first thing that Homer says is, please inspire me, muse. Okay? So what he's doing is not creating, what he's doing is channeling. He's drawing inspiration from the gods. Okay? When he's speaking to people, he's saying, I am here as a messenger of the gods. This information is from the gods themselves. All right, so this is the fatal meeting, not the fatal meeting, the clash between Agamemnon and Achilles, the first meeting that starts off the Iliad. So Agamemnon says to Achilles, give me your slave girl and get out of here, okay? And Achilles says, screw you, I'm not going to fight for you again. But now Achilles is pissed off. He wants to kill Agamemnon, okay? Agamemnon broke off and anguish gripped Achilles. The heart in his rugged chest was pounding, torn. Should he draw the long, sharp sword slung at his hip, thrust through the ranks and kill Agamemnon now, or check his rage and beat his fury down, okay? So he can't control himself, okay? Rage has overtaken him. He wants to step forward and just kill Agamemnon. As his raging spirit veered back and forth, just as he drew his huge blade from his sheath, down from the vaulting heavens swept Athena. Athena's here now, okay, before Achilles. The white-armed goddess Hera sped her down. Hera loved both men and cared for both alike. Rearing behind him, Peleus ceased his fury here. Only Achilles saw her, none of the other fighters. Struck with wonder, he spun around. He knew her at once, okay? So Achilles is a hallucinating Athena. No one else can see her, okay? Pallas Athena, the terrible blazing of those eyes, and his winged words went flying. Why now? Child of Zeus, with a shield of thunder, why come now? To witness the outrage Agamemnon just committed? I tell you this, and so help me, it's the truth. He'll soon pay for his arrogance with his life. So he really wants to kill Agamemnon. Her gray eyes clear, the goddess Athena answered, down from the skies I come to check your rage. If only you will yield. The white-armed goddess Hera spread me down. She loves you both. She cares for you both alike. Stop this fighting now. Don't lay hand to sword. Lash him with threats of the price that he will face. And I tell you this, I know it is the truth. One day glittering gifts will lie before you 3 times over to pay for all his outrage. Hold back now. Obey us both. Okay? So Achilles wants to kill Agamemnon, but now he's being possessed by Athena, okay? And Athena says, stop. Okay? So she urged, and the swift runner complied at once. I must, when the two of you had down commands, goddess, a man submits, though his heart breaks with fury. Better for him by far. If a man obeys the gods, they're quick to hear his prayers. And with that, Achilles stayed his burly hand on the silver hilt and slid the huge blade back in his sheath. He would not fight the orders of Athena, okay? So again, this is not factual. Athena doesn't really exist, but it's truthful in that it gives us insight into how the human brain and the human emotions work, okay? Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to write this again in modern prose to show you the difference, okay? Okay, so this is what I wrote myself. Okay, it's bad writing, it's modern prose, but you're able to compare and contrast, okay? I don't need you, get out of my sight, roared Agamemnon. He spat on the ground. Achilles' blood boiled and he reached for the hilt of his sword. He saw all eyes stare at him and he stayed focused on Agamemnon. He counted the seconds and the steps it would take for him to sprint forward and strike him down. His feet grew heavy and his legs grew wobbly. He could not move. He felt the thumping of his heart. Achilles snapped around and walked out of the room. He saw all eyes focus on him, okay? So this is factual, but it's not truthful. Do you understand? It doesn't give us insight into why this is happening. So the Iliad is truthful but not factual. Modern prose is factual but not truthful. So now, as I said, Achilles refuses to fight, the Greeks are losing the war, and so the Greeks beg Achilles to come fight. Achilles says no. And he sends Patroclus to figure out what's going on. And Patroclus comes back and says, let me fight Achilles. Okay? And at this point, Achilles should just be like, we'll fight together, or don't go, Patroclus is too dangerous. Instead, he says this. So he pleaded, lost in his own great innocence, condemned to beg for his own death and brutal doom. Okay, he is Patroclus. And moved now to his depths, the famous runner cried, no, no, my prince Patroclus, what are you saying? Prophecies? None that touch me, none I know of. No doom my noble mother revealed to me from Zeus. Just this terrible pain that wounds me to the quick. When one man attempts to plunder a man his equal, to commandeer a prize, exulting so in his own power. That's a pain that wounds me, suffering such humiliation. That girl, the sons of Achaia, picked her as my prize, and I sacked the walled city, won her with my spear, but right from my grasp he tears her, mighty Agamemnon, that son of Atreus, treating me like some vagabond, some outcast stripped of all my rights. So the Greek army is about to be destroyed, and Achilles is concerned about his own pride. Okay, he's a very selfish person. Agamemnon stole his girlfriend, and he's pissed. Enough, let bygones be bygones now. Done is done. How on earth can a man rage on forever? Still by God, I said I would not relax my anger, not till the cries and carnage reach my own ships. So you strap my splendid armor on your back, you lead our battle-hungry Meridians into action. And now, in fact, the black cloud of the Trojans blast down on the ships with full gale force, our backs to the breaking surf, but clinging still to a cramped strip of land, the Argives lost. The whole city of Troy comes trampling down on us, daring, wild. Why? They cannot see the brow of my helmet flash before their eyes. Oh, they'll soon run for their lives and choke the torn beds of the field with all their corpse, if only the mighty Agamemnon met with me with respect, okay? So the Trojans are attacking them because he's not in the battlefield.